When Kawhi Leonard is healthy, he's as good as LeBron James, Steph Curry, or Kevin Durant. He is a defensive beast that can score effortlessly. It's what earned him 2 NBA Finals MVP awards and consistent recognition among the NBA's elite. At times, he looks like a bigger, robot version of Michael Jordan. But Kawhi's career isn't typical for a superstar. Despite all of his awards, he has scored just over 11,800 points in more than 10 years of playing in the NBA. Guys like Jeff Green and Richard Jefferson have more career points than him. That's the unusual story of Kawhi Leonard. Incredible highs, followed by long periods on the sidelines. Bursts of dominance, overshadowed by frustrating injury. But Kawhi isn't just unusual because of his career path. He's also known as the NBA's quiet assassin. He doesn't celebrate, he doesn't smile, he rarely shows any emotion. When he does laugh, it sounds like a robot malfunctioning. Yet when he's on the court, he silently destroys his opponents. This is the story of Kawhi Leonard, one of the strangest superstars in NBA history. Before Kawhi Leonard became an NBA superstar, he built his reputation at San Diego State, where his intense defense and relentless hustle first caught the basketball world's attention. But his path to stardom was anything but easy. Kawhi grew up in Riverside, California, where tragedy struck him at a young age. In 2008, when Kawhi was just a high school student, his father was tragically murdered at the Compton car wash he owned.
A person walked up to him and fired several rounds at him.
The loss devastated Kawhi deeply. He broke down crying in his mother's arms after playing in a basketball game just one day later. In those dark times, basketball became Kawhi's escape. He once said, "Basketball helps me take my mind off things, picking me up every day when I'm feeling down." That quiet strength and determination stayed with him as he began his college career at San Diego State in 2009. Kawhi quickly became known as a hard-working player with an unstoppable motor, earning the nickname The Claw because of his exceptionally large hands and incredible rebounding ability. You know what they say about guys with big hands? They get a lot of steals. Get your mind out of the gutter. As a freshman, he averaged 13 points and 10 rebounds per game, winning the Mountain West Freshman of the Year and leading the Aztecs to a 25-9 record. Teammates remember him constantly repeating the phrase, "bored man gets paid." It was a reminder to himself that those who hustled the hardest for rebounds would eventually be rewarded.
It's about, working hard, basically, outworking the opponent. Rebounds help you win games.
By his second year, Kawhi got even better, averaging about 16 points and 11 rebounds per game, guiding his school to an outstanding 34 wins and 3 losses season, and into the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament. He earned second-team All-American honors and was recognized as one of college basketball's elite players. Yet Kawhi remained quiet and reserved off the court. He wasn't a typical loud or flashy star. Instead, he was calm and serious, shaped by the tragedy of losing his father. On the court, however, he was ferocious. By the time he declared for the 2011 NBA draft, everyone knew that Kawhi was a defensive powerhouse and an incredible rebounder, but many scouts questioned if he could become a great scorer. Little did they know how extraordinary and unusual Kawhi's professional journey would turn out to be. In June of 2011, Kawhi Leonard entered the NBA draft and was picked 15th overall by the Indiana Pacers, but on draft night, his path took a sudden twist. He was immediately traded to the San Antonio Spurs, a team that is famous for turning young talent into stars. When Kawhi arrived in San Antonio, he was still raw offensively and very quiet off the court. I mean, the kid was barely 20 years old. He was also stepping into a locker room full of legends: Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili. As a young kid, it can be intimidating to share a locker room with such great players, but the veteran stars taught Kawhi how to win. Greg Popovich, the Spurs coach, gave Kawhi a clear role: defend the opponent's best player, grab rebounds, and shoot from the corner when you're open. Kawhi embraced this challenge with his quiet confidence. In his rookie season, Kawhi quickly proved himself as a tough defender and a very reliable role player. He earned NBA All-Rookie honors and helped the Spurs finish with the best record in the league. Over the next couple of seasons, he got better and better. Now his offensive skills were getting sharper, his jump shot becoming more consistent. Still, he wasn't scoring huge numbers. He was averaging about 11 to 12 points per game, but he was efficient. And now, his defense was becoming elite. Like, he was known as a good defender in college, but now he was one of the best defenders in the entire NBA. And then everything changed for Kawhi in the 2013-2014 season. After losing painfully in the NBA Finals the year before, the Spurs came back hungry for redemption. Kawhi, at just 22 years old, became their secret weapon against LeBron James and the Miami Heat. Kawhi played brilliant basketball, shutting down LeBron and really slowing the grade 1 down. On top of that, he was also stepping up as an unexpected scoring force. In Game 3, Kawhi scored 29 points. In Game 4, he had 20 points and 14 rebounds. Thanks to Kawhi, the Spurs beat Miami in 5 games, winning the NBA title. In a stunning moment, in a final that had Tim Duncan, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, it was Kawhi Leonard who was named the Finals MVP, averaging nearly 18 points per game and shooting an incredible 61% from the field. He was the youngest Finals MVP since Magic Johnson. As the quiet and reserved Kawhi received the trophy from Bill Russell, cameras caught a very rare sight: Kawhi actually smiling. His teammates joked that it was the first time they had ever seen him smile. The robot was showing some emotion. As usual, Kawhi remained very humble. He gave credit to his teammates in a calm but very emotionless voice.
Right now, it's just surreal to me. I had a great group of guys behind me, just pushing me.
After that championship, Kawhi emerged as the new face of the San Antonio Spurs. Their stars were getting older, nearing retirement, and Kawhi became the hope for their future. Over the next few seasons, Kawhi transformed from a role player into an actual superstar. He won back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year awards in 2015 and 2016, becoming widely regarded as the league's best defender. He was just too tough to handle. Fast, strong, with those massive hands. How are you supposed to score on a guy like that? But what made Kawhi so special is that on top of his incredible defending, his offense was blossoming too. By the 2015-2016 season, Kawhi was scoring over 20 points per game, earning his first All-Star selection and becoming one of the league's most efficient scorers. In the 2017 season, Kawhi reached even greater heights, averaging 25.5 points, nearly 6 rebounds, and 3.5 assists per game. He finished 3rd in MVP voting that year, solidifying himself as one of basketball's most elite players. He was pretty much unstoppable now, cause on the defensive end you couldn't get by him, and then when he had the ball, he would cook you with efficiency. In the playoffs against the Memphis Grizzlies in 2017, Kawhi played so dominantly that the Memphis coach David Fizdale joked afterwards that Kawhi might actually be a robot. What else can you say when someone is cooking you with incredible efficiency and he doesn't even crack a smile? The Spurs saw Kawhi as the natural successor to Tim Duncan, the quiet superstar who would carry their winning culture into the future. But Kawhi's journey was about to take another dramatic turn, one that nobody saw coming. Just as Kawhi Leonard was reaching the peak of his power, things took a heartbreaking turn. In the 2017 Western Conference Finals against the Golden State Warriors, Kawhi injured his ankle after landing awkwardly on Zaza's foot. He missed the rest of the series, and the Spurs' championship hopes faded away. But this setback was nothing compared to what came next. In the 2017-2018 season, when Kawhi was just 26 and in his prime, a strange and persistent quadricep injury hit him hard. The injury caused constant pain in his right leg and limited him to just 9 games all season. Doctors struggled to diagnose exactly what was wrong, and frustration quickly grew on both sides. What followed was one of the NBA's strangest and most confusing dramas. The Spurs medical staff eventually cleared Kawhi to play, but Kawhi and his own medical team disagreed. They felt he wasn't ready and sought outside opinions. The disagreement turned into tension, and the usually drama-free Spurs suddenly found themselves dealing with conflict behind the scenes. Things got even worse when Kawhi's teammates became openly frustrated. During a tense players-only meeting in March of 2018, veterans like Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili reportedly questioned Kawhi about his commitment to returning to play. Soon after, Parker publicly compared Kawhi's injury to his own previous quad injury and said, "My injury was 100 times worse." Whether intentional or not, Parker's comments upset Kawhi's camp deeply. The trust between Kawhi and the Spurs was broken. For fans, this was shocking. Kawhi Leonard, always the quiet, reliable team-first player, was suddenly at the center of controversy that seemed so unlikely. Speculation began that Kawhi wanted to leave San Antonio, and in the summer of 2018, the Spurs did the unthinkable. They traded Kawhi Leonard, the guy who was supposed to be the future of their franchise. In a stunning move, the Spurs sent Kawhi and teammate Danny Green to the Toronto Raptors in exchange for Toronto star DeMar DeRozan, Jakob Poeltl, and a first-round draft pick. The basketball world was in disbelief. San Antonio, known for loyalty and stability, had traded away their 26-year-old Finals MVP who was just entering his prime. The Raptors had made a huge gamble too. Kawhi was still recovering from his injury and had only 1 year left on his contract. Nobody knew if he'd stay in Toronto beyond that year, but the Raptors GM Masai Ujiri believed that even a single season with a healthy Kawhi Leonard could bring a championship. championship. For Kawhi, the trade was emotional as well. San Antonio had been his basketball home, the team that had helped him become a star. The quiet superstar rarely spoke about what happened, but it was clear he was ready to move on. Kawhi's Spurs era had ended abruptly, and a brand new chapter awaited. When Kawhi Leonard arrived in Toronto in the summer of 2018, no one knew exactly what to expect. Could he get healthy? Was he fully committed? And could he actually lead the Raptors, a team that had never reached the NBA Finals, all the way? Right from the start, Toronto embraced Kawhi's health concerns. They decided to rest him frequently during the regular season, a strategy that has become now very common in the league called load management. At the time though, it was very uncommon. Kawhi ended up just appearing in 60 of 82 games. He didn't play back-to-backs, but whenever he stepped onto the court, he reminded everyone how special he was. He averaged nearly 27 points per game, and the Raptors finished the season strong, heading confidently into the playoffs. Still though, some wondered if Kawhi could actually deliver under playoff pressure, especially with free agency looming. Well, Kawhi answered all of those doubts, delivering one of the greatest playoff runs in NBA history. In the first round, Kawhi calmly led Toronto past the Orlando Magic, but it was in the second round against the Sixers where he created an iconic moment that defined his entire career. The series had gone down to a dramatic Game 7. With the score tied and only seconds remaining, Kawhi received the ball near the corner. Guarded tightly by the towering Joel Embiid, he jumped high and launched a contested shot. Everyone in the arena watched anxiously as the ball hit the rim and bounced straight up. It bounced again, once, twice, 3, 4 times, before finally dropping through the net as the buzzer sounded. The arena erupted. Kawhi, who's usually emotionless, started screaming with joy. His teammates mobbed him in celebration. It was the first ever Game 7 buzzer beater in NBA playoff history, a moment that is now remembered as the shot. Kawhi had scored 41 points, pretty much single-handedly pushing the Raptors forward. With the energy from that incredible shot, Kawhi and the Raptors marched on. In the Eastern Conference Finals, they faced the Milwaukee Bucks and superstar Giannis Antetokounmpo. Toronto quickly fell behind 2-0 in the series, but Leonard took over. Playing through a painful knee injury, Kawhi guarded Giannis aggressively, slowing him down and sparking the Raptors to 4 straight wins. Kawhi even dunked over Giannis, showing just how good he was on both ends of the court. For the first time ever, the Raptors had advanced to the NBA Finals, facing the Golden State Warriors, a team loaded with stars and championship experience. Even with injuries to Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson, Golden State were still dangerous. But once again, Kawhi was unfazed. He averaged nearly 29 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists per game in the finals, carrying the Raptors to victory in just 6 games. When Toronto won the championship, Kawhi Leonard was named the Finals MVP unanimously, his second Finals MVP, this time with a different team. In just one season, Kawhi had taken a franchise that had never even reached the finals and delivered them a title. His playoff numbers were astonishing, more than 30 points per game, one of the highest scoring playoff performances ever. He joined legends like Michael Jordan and LeBron James by averaging over 31 points in a playoff run and doing it with incredible efficiency. For Kawhi, it was a moment of redemption and proof that when healthy, he belonged in the same conversation as basketball's biggest superstar. Yet true to his quiet and mysterious nature, Kawhi made another surprising decision just weeks after winning it all. In July of 2019, he chose to leave Toronto and sign with the Los Angeles Clippers, returning home to Southern California. It was a bittersweet goodbye for Raptors fans. They always knew it was possible that he'd leave after just 1 year, but Kawhi's brief stay had forever changed their franchise. His farewell was as quiet and understated as Kawhi himself. No big speeches, no public announcement, just moving on quietly to the next chapter of his career. Kawhi Leonard signing for the Clippers made headlines in 2019. It wasn't just a homecoming, it was a statement. Cause Kawhi, he wasn't coming alone. At his request, the Clippers pulled off a blockbuster trade to bring in fellow star Paul George. Overnight, the Clippers had transformed from longtime underdogs into championship favorites. For Kawhi, this was personal. He was back in Southern California, leading a franchise that had never even reached a conference final. The expectations were sky high, and in his first season, Kawhi was delivering. He averaged a career-best 27.1 points per game, along with 7 rebounds and 5 assists. At this point, he was no longer just a defensive specialist. We had seen how good he was on the offensive end, draining threes, hitting smooth mid-range jumpers, and just bullying his way to the rim. Thanks to Kawhi, the Clippers look like contenders. But his story has never followed a smooth path. In the 2020 playoffs, held inside the NBA's bubble because of COVID, the Clippers collapsed in a shocking fashion. Up 3-1 in the second round against the Denver Nuggets, they lost 3 straight games and crashed out of the playoffs. In Game 7, Kawhi had one of his worst nights, scoring just 14 points on 6 of 22 shooting. His shooting numbers look like concert dates. For a player who was known for his clutch performances, this was a rare failure. Critics pounced at this, and they began to question whether Kawhi could lead another team to glory. Kawhi, usually known for his stoic demeanor, was visibly frustrated, so he came back with a vengeance in 2021. In the playoffs, he reminded everyone why he's still one of the best in the world. Facing Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavs in a tough first-round series, Kawhi delivered one of his greatest performances, dropping 45 points on 72% shooting in a must-win Game 6. He followed it up with 28 points in Game 7, carrying the Clippers forward. It felt like Kawhi was finally about to lift this team to the top, but once again, fate had other plans. In the second round, Kawhi suffered a knee injury on a routine drive. The diagnosis? A partially torn ACL. Just like that, his season was over, and so were the Clippers' title hopes. Kawhi would miss the entire 2021-2022 season, forced into another long and lonely rehab. True to his nature, he kept quiet, offering little to the media. Fans caught only glimpses of him shooting in empty gyms. When asked about his recovery, Kawhi simply said that he was taking his time. By late 2022, Kawhi returned to action after 16 months away. At first, he struggled with knee stiffness and was placed under strict load management again. But as the season progressed, flashes of the old Kawhi reappeared. Efficient scoring, lockdown defense, and his usual quiet dominance. But then, heartbreak struck again. In the 2023 playoffs, Kawhi started strong against the Suns, scoring 38 points and 31 points in the first 2 games. He looked unstoppable. Even with stars like Kevin Durant and Devin Booker on the other side, Kawhi was the best player on the court. But after Game 2, Kawhi was ruled out with knee soreness. Days later, it was revealed he had a torn meniscus, another serious injury in the same right knee. The Clippers were eliminated, and Kawhi faced yet another grueling rehab. In just 5 years, he had missed 2 full seasons and part of 2 others. The cycle of brilliance followed by injury became a cruel pattern. Coaches and teammates often spoke of his professional attitude. No complaints, no drama, just a quiet focus on getting back. But behind the calm exterior, it's hard to imagine the emotional weight that Kawhi carried. Everyone knew how dominant he could be when he was healthy, but his body kept betraying him. For now, Kawhi is still battling with the Clippers, chasing the dream of bringing a championship to his hometown team. Despite all the injuries and setbacks, he continues to remind the world just how dangerous he can be when he's on the court. In April of 2025, at 33 years old, Kawhi dropped 39 points in a playoff win, proof that the Claw still has the ability to take over games when it matters the most. By now, he scored 30 or more points in 36 different playoff games, a clear sign that when the lights are the brightest, Kawhi delivers. But his career has never been about steady numbers or chasing records. Unlike LeBron or Durant, Kawhi won't be at the top of the all-time scoring list. His stats won't tell the full story. Kawhi's legacy is built on moments, those flashes of brilliance that few players can match. 2 Finals MVP trophies with 2 different teams, that iconic buzzer beater in Toronto, locking down the league's best players when it mattered the most. His career doesn't follow the usual path of a superstar. It's a story of incredible highs, followed by frustrating absences. And through it all, Kawhi being a quiet assassin who lets his game speak louder than words. His journey has always been different, defined just as much by the time he wasn't on the court as the times he dominated it. But when he's healthy, there's no doubt, he's one of the most unstoppable forces the NBA has ever seen. If you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you'll like this one as well. Check it out right here.